Welcome everyone. Attention Training Tuesday, and I thought the theme for today, related to the one that we explored yesterday, which just a quick reminder, was this idea of being mindful of how our brain has this tendency to create these dichotomies of good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant, and so on. And of course, the part of us that allows us to notice that and to be able to extricate ourselves from that myopic view is our attention, our capacity for attentional control. And so I've used this image before. When we look at this, imagine we're coming up to this in our car. Our eyes have this tendency to focus on the big boulders that are in the middle, on our side of the road. Of course, if you're driving a car, it makes sense. That's the danger. All right, hold on. Something just happened here. Something. All right, everyone. Sure what just happened, but I'm trying to. Okay, there we go. So right, so we focus on the big boulder, which makes sense. That's where the danger is. But if we actually want to get through this situation, what we can train ourselves to do is then very quickly reorient our attention to the space on the left where we actually want to go. And that's easier said than done. I'm not sure what's going on with the presentation today. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Right. So it's this gap that we want to be focusing on. And so, the heuristic here is energy flows where our attention goes. And so if we can learn how to harness our attention in those moments where it's getting hijacked by something that appears dangerous to us, then then that's sort of an ideal scenario. And then there's this idea of comparison. Now, our brains are very wired for comparison, and this phrase that comparison is a thief of joy. The reason I have an ice cream cone on the slide is, um, you know, even if you don't have kids, you've probably witnessed this scenario many times, right? We're hanging out, the kids are having a great time, and then someone suggests, "Hey, who wants ice cream?" And then suddenly the attention goes to, "Great, well, everyone's going to get ice cream now." And then you go get ice cream, and maybe one of the kids gets a bigger scoop of ice cream than the other. And then suddenly come the tears, and that's not fair. And Johnny got a bigger scoop than so and so, and why does he always and I never? And right, so our brains very quickly go into this comparison mode. And again, that's a great example of this attentional hijack that happens. 45 seconds ago, before the ice cream was even on the table, everyone was having a great time because they weren't comparing with each other. Now suddenly there's this new shiny object for our attention, and now we're starting to compare and say, well, that's not fair, or my life is worse than it was before because so and so has more than I have. So that's a pretty common, I think, occurrence for all of us. And I thought today maybe we'd explore the memories of where we find ourselves comparing ourselves to others, either our looks, our financial well-being, our relationship status, whatever it might be, and then see to what extent we can pull ourselves back out of that comparing mindset and just connect with the reality in that moment. So let's try that out, and start off as per usual by closing our eyes, and always starting with just presence, just grounding in the present moment. So noticing your contact with the ground, feet. I like to put my feet flat on the ground and then wiggle my toes, and that helps actually focus my attention on my feet and notice the sensation of being in contact with the ground. And the other tool for presencing is breath. Always there, always available. And when we focus on our breath and become aware of the sensation of breathing, again, all we're really doing is we're just focusing our attention on that experience and not on anything else. If you notice your mind wandering, being distracted by other experiences other than your breath and your feet, again, that's okay. When you notice it, just bring your attention back to right here, right now. And then, in order to explore our comparing mind, I invite you to think of a situation. Maybe it's active for you today or these days, or it can also be something in the past. It's something where you notice some degree of like a lack, or noticing other people having something. Maybe it was a social media post you saw, people having a good time, or maybe it's learning that someone got engaged or is in a relationship and you'd like that. Maybe it's financial, wishing wishing your financial situation were different. Doesn't really matter what you choose, but just choose a memory or a scenario. See if you can just bring your attention there, noticing what it's like to have that experience. Notice what it feels like in the body to see other people having more, having something that you want. It's a very automatic, knee jerk reactivity that our brain has. It's very normal. Now, see if you can focus on that part of the mind or the story that you're telling yourself about these other people or this person or this situation. In other words, notice what it feels like when the mind compares their situation to mine. And there too, notice where in the body that registers, whether it's envy or jealousy. And this story of lack or the story of comparison, this is equivalent to the boulder in the middle of the road. We naturally focus on that. Now see if we can focus on the gap next to it where we want to go. In this case, it means focusing attention on what in fact you do have, either now or in that situation. In other words, shifting our attention away from this narrative of whatever it might be, and really just focusing on the present moment. We have each other, we have safety, this group, physical safety right now. We have breath. Really, it's about the ability to notice when the comparing mind is active, and then being able to intentionally bring it out of that mental narrative and into the present moment, to really feel into it and notice the abundance of what is in the present moment. If the mind wanders or has difficulty doing that, again, just focus on the sensation of your feet on the ground, wiggle your toes, notice breath coming and going. In other words, choose to focus attention something other than the story of lack. And go ahead and take a deep breath in through the nose, long exhale through the mouth, relaxing the hands and shoulders and belly, and then hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In through the nose, out through the mouth, all the way out, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, open your eyes, come on back to the session. Quick reminder that tonight, it's Tuesday at 6:30. Brenda's running her community integration group. Everyone's welcome. And you can sign up just by going to citclinics.com/integration. And if you've never been, I recommend that you check it out. Brenda's wonderful. And I will stick around for a few more minutes if anyone wants to connect. And thanks for coming to the session today. Sorry about the technical issues earlier. Hope to see you tomorrow.